Thanks everyone. I'm Sunjung. Today I like to just share some of my findings, like early findings on my thesis for my MBA study. So I am writing down my thesis until August 1st. So I like to share with you some initial findings with you already. And I promise you to share the second findings when there's more detailed insights already. But I'm not yet there, so I just decided to share it a little bit early. So my focus is about like how AI is impacting like us as a UX and also the software developer and also the product managers. Like how does that impact our workflow? And I made some hypothesis, so I'll walk you through like how does that evolve. So I just like to give you a little bit of like history how it started. So over the past few years, of course, I'm pretty sure you also feel the same, but I sometimes found myself like I feel like I spend a lot of my energy and time at work, but really sometimes feel like I don't know, I wasn't really producing anything truly creative for some reasons. So that really makes me think like, well, like what should I do? So actually this is one of the screenshots that I took. I think I created this weird spreadsheet like 2 years ago-ish. And because this question sparked me so much, so I started to track my time and just literally writing down how much of my day went into maybe meetings, any plannings, any unplanned work, and deep work. I think this document was inspired by seeing some of the Pet Rose document, I believe. I just don't remember the exact name of that document. But I noticed that like my focus and deep work time is way less than I thought. Like the average number was quite low. So if you see the bottom number here, so here's like two. So 2 hours per day. So it's not that a good number. And I just try to look back like why it's happening. And it's maybe because lots of Slack, emails, meetings. Sometimes we needed to act on fast. So I'm just like jumping between a lot of tools, notification. So this really interrupts my deep work. So I noticed that like, okay, but what should I do? So I had no clue. I just decided to move on. But like while I'm like studying, like part-time studying, like this question still keep bugging me. And then there's like AI tools, like people talk about how to use AI in our workflow. So like I evolved this hypothesis. So my hypothesis was if AI tool evolves, I don't think it will replace human. I think human judgment will be still needed for sure. But AI can maybe help us to be more creative. Why? Because it can help us to do some repetitive task, or they can help us do other tasks a little better. So I created this research question for me and started to dive into this. And yeah, there are a little bit of like literature reviews that I have done so far. And it was quite like remarkable that like lots of knowledge workers that includes software development industry for sure, like they only spend 40% of the time or less for their deep and creative work. And of course, like people in the tech, they also mentioned the similar challenges like I feel, and because there's lots of interruptions, lots of context switching, so seems like people are struggling. And what does the other type of research says other than the news article or company report? So I noticed that it's quite remarkable. Like lots of people like mention about like high cognitive load that leads to the fewer creative ideas. It was empirical research, lab research, and the task variety and autonomy that also impacts the employee's performance and how to be more innovative. So seems like okay, seems like my hypothesis is working. So I decided to like still deep diving into this topic and move further. And these are some of the findings that I focus on, like academic area. So it was like lots of research about like surveys that is started from 2024 until 2025. So this can be changed, but these are the summarized insight. So quite a lot of UX people, PM, engineering, they're already using like AI in their workflow for sure. But the most commonly mentioned tool was definitely ChatGPT, Claude, Midjourney, and Copilot. And it seems like the key use cases could be quite different. Of course, their roles are different, so it can be understandable. But I find the UX workflows, like report and summary, was quite interesting. So quite a lot of UX professionals, they're using AI tool for the content generation. That means maybe micro copy generation, or even if they're organizing a workshop and then we need to write down some sort of scenario or script, so they also generate with the AI. And also they use it for the ideation and also the research synthesis. But I see that there's a clear limitation, like when it comes to the UX workflow, because it's highly costly interaction, especially when it comes to the prototyping and then designing. So some professional mentioned that like, yeah, it's a little frustrating to do the design with the AI because of many different reasons, but they mention about the high interaction cost. And sometimes AI doesn't have a lot of context like human professional does. So they also mentioned some frustration about that. So it was mostly about like content generation and ideation, which is happening a little bit earlier had in our design process. So, what's the opportunity? So, based on this research finding, what I found so far is I really believe that it's just not being us to be super fast or super efficient at work, but I think the goal should be making a fewer interruptions by adopting AI tools in our workflow and then creating more flow states. I'm pretty sure you're already very familiar with this concept, but like we need to be in the flow states to be more creative and to be more innovative. So we definitely need more focus time because otherwise, like, how can we make our user experience better? So, yeah, I'm still working on this research. So, I'm designing the survey and I'm also planning the interviews with the PMs, designer, and devs, and also started to visualize like possible AI use case across product development phases. So, lots of things are happening. So, if you're interested in to talk more about this or just share your experience with me, that would be really helpful. And yeah, I'd be also very keen to hear like what do you think? Like what part of in your workflow feel most draining sometimes or most interruptive? Like if you could share with me those ideas, be also really helpful for me. Yeah, that's it. Any questions? Stop sharing.
One thing this made me think of, which I didn't write on the agenda, was there was a previous UX forum. Um, I think it might have been Michael Fangman who used Claude to create a prototype, um, which I think was a really good example of using AI to help uh, make that process faster. So I'll just link that here.
Yeah, I remember that UX forum, but I failed to find that example, like with my really miserably failed design with the Claude. But I was surprised yeah, I think he created a good prompt. Maybe it was just me, but yeah, it'd be nice if you could link those. Thanks.
Sure.
I'm
Okay, and
sort of
that's
curious. Oh, sorry. Um, Sunjung, if made any changes to your own like daily habits based on your findings and If so, how's that going?
So I'm also like started my own experiment. Sometimes it got fail, sometimes it was pretty successful. I find it's very useful when it comes to analyzing the large number of data really quickly. So for example, I use it Claude when I need to analyze the backlog. Like because pipeline often we have some thousand issues available. I don't want to go through every detail. But I think like for that case, it was super useful. But for the designing, I haven't maybe Taylor like he did a great job, but like I didn't find it like it's that useful. But I also find it very useful for me when it comes to generating the content for the design review, like brainstorming the questions and with Claude, and then like of course I need to in the end like modify all the questions in the end. But yeah, just starting with Claude brainstorming, it's also very helpful.
Awesome. Okay, it looks like there's no other questions. Thank you so much for that, Sunjung. I'm going to stop the recording.